Hello everyone, and welcome to the ASMR review show. For this video, we are going to be talking about the films of famed director Wes Anderson, and we're going to do a tier list of his films, because he had a new one come out earlier this year, the long-awaited Asteroid City, and I've been meaning to do a video on all of his films for a while, and I just keep getting sidetracked because that's who I am. But now that I've been vibing these tier list videos, why don't we do a tier list of his films? And again, the way I do the tier lists is it's in terms of what the content is, how I rank it. So that way we get a better distribution. So that means that there may be films that are in D tier that aren't actually D tier movies, and we might have some that are in S tier that I don't think are actually S tier. Because Wes Anderson is actually not one of my favorite directors. I very much feel he's a style over substance director, and there are fleeting moments of genius and brilliance here and there. But ultimately, he's not one of my favorites. And I know I probably just annoyed a lot of people with that statement, because for some it's like, Wes Anderson's great, like the bit where he says, "I've had a rough year," feels every time, right? And that's not me. But, his style is interesting and it's cool, so I do like checking out his films. But there's only a couple that I would say are truly great. But enough beating around the bush. Let's get down to it, shall we? First up, this seems like they've put the list in chronological order. So the first is his first film, Bottle Rocket, which is a D tier for me. It was the last one I watched, and it's cool to see Wes Anderson's style kind of toned down. That was kind of interesting, but ultimately I didn't really care too much about the story or the characters. It just kind of felt meandering. And I don't think it's one I would bother really rewatching. I know for some people it's probably an underrated gem. But yeah, that's how it is for me. Moving on, we have Rushmore, which I do think is quite a step up from Bottle Rocket, so that one for me is a B tier movie. B for Wes Anderson, that is. And yeah, this one is very fun, entertaining. I mean, it's about a young, pretentious guy trying to get with a hot older woman, so, obviously this is a film that appeals to my, straight maleness, right? And it's got sad Bill Murray being sad. The best Wes Anderson movies are the ones where Bill Murray gets to be sad, so that automatically makes this a good one. The bit where he's like smoking 2 cigarettes at once, that is comedy gold. So yeah, it's enjoyable and it's fun. I don't really think about it as much as some of the better ones, but it's a good one. Then next we have the Royal Tenenbaums, which I will probably cause some controversy in saying that that's also a B tier movie for me. I know for some this is like, triple S tier Wes Anderson, but it's not for me. Again, it's really where he starts doing the style that he'll be known for the rest of his career, which is big ensemble casts, characters that are all, very quirky, and they have quirks to them, but also random moments of emotion and depth, and it's those bits that I like the most. I think the thing for Wes Anderson movies for me is that, it seems like, I don't know if it's a directorial decision, but he asks all the actors to just play everything straight face, so people try to parody Wes Anderson's style in those videos, and they think that all it means is pastel colors and everything on a 90 or 45 degree angle, but really, to mimic Wes Anderson's style is you need to have 2 characters talking to each other, perfectly aligned to the camera, and this is the story about a very important friend of mine. They're dead now. They left me this lifelong prized possession, which they recovered from a Bengal tiger hanging out in Siberia for some reason. Also, this took place in 1973, with a very obscure Rolling Stones song playing. That's the story of my life. Wow, very impressive. That's a Wes Anderson scene, or at least my interpretation of a Wes Anderson scene. So yeah, like I feel like if the characters could emote more, I'd connect to it, but they don't. But then for the hipster people, especially on Letterboxd, the playing it deadpan, straight face is what they like. But it's not really for me. So Royal Tenenbaums is a good movie, but for me it's only a B tier for Wes Anderson. So let's continue with controversy. Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is my favorite Wes Anderson movie, so it is an S tier film for me. Yeah, come at me, bro. And that's just because it's what I want from a Wes Anderson movie. It's more sad Bill Murray. He's the protagonist of this film. But it's quirky and funny, and the soundtrack is mostly Portuguese covers of David Bowie songs. But also, like, Bill Murray actually gets to emote in some scenes. It's definitely some of the emotions that have hit me the hardest in a Wes Anderson film, which I can't say for many of them. And I love the ending with the Sigur Rós music and the stop motion fish. It's a very fun revenge movie, though I do compare this to Last of Us Part 2, you know, what he gets to the end, it doesn't kill the shark. Oh, that's horrible, right? That'd be like if Ellie went to the end of Last of Us Part 2 and didn't kill Abby. Oh, wait, you know, when it's wow, my hair is a mess. When it's a guy deciding to give up on his revenge story, it's okay, especially if it's sad Bill Murray. Yeah, so I don't know. I love everything about the movie. It's really great. I think it's very underrated. I don't get why that's one of Wes Anderson's lowest rated ones. To me, that's what I like from him, but to each his own. Next, after that, we have the Darjeeling Limited, which is a C tier movie for me. I'm not the biggest fan of this one, and that's just because it felt like Wes Anderson by the numbers, and, you know, it teases you that Bill Murray's going to be in the movie, and then literally he gets left behind in the dirt, and like Wes saying, sorry man, this ain't your movie. And I don't like how the movie takes Angelica Houston and makes her like some born-again Christian fundamentalist. That's not cool. I want Angelica Houston to be Morticia Adams, Envoy of Darkness, right? And then, you know, there's the whole talk about the is the movie racist, cultural appropriation, you know? Well, I'm not from India, you know, so I don't really know if I can comment on that well. And part of me wonders, was the whole, like, this being such a stereotypical experience, like, we go to India on a spiritual journey, and we meet up with the locals, and they're automatically thirsty for us. Like, was that all, like, part of the joke, you know, that the guys, the brothers weren't really, you know, experiencing their journey properly, and then they get humbled, you know, and by that bit in the middle? Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, Darjeeling Limited, that's how I feel. There's a couple fleeting moments of really good stuff. You know, the bit where they try to save the kids from the river. Mine didn't make it. That's pretty good. And then the bit where they're really trying to get the car to go to the funeral. Like, that was a good case of playing everything deadpan. It just felt very real and stressful. But it's fleeting moments of goodness in a not too entertaining film for me, and it's barely 90 minutes long, and it felt like the longest 90 minutes of my life, so I just don't really dig it. I don't know if I'll come back to that one, but it's got a couple good bits to it though, so we'll give it a C tier. Next is Fantastic Mr. Fox, stop motion animated film, which gets a For me, that is an A tier movie. And that's because it's very fun, and it's good, and it's enjoyable, and it's cutesy, and the stop motion is nice. Just short and simple and fun, and I like the characters. It's still a standard Wes Anderson movie in terms of everything, but this one has very good animation. So I like that. What more can you say? I know for some people that's like the greatest movie of all time. Again, really, if we were doing this like in movie rankings, Fantastic Mr. Fox might actually only be like a B tier movie for me. But because this is in terms of Wes Anderson, it's an A tier. Then we have Moonrise Kingdom, which is a C tier for me. Because it's, again, kind of like Darjeeling Limited. This one, it's good, and it's fun, and it's cutesy and entertaining, but I find it just kind of simple. Like, I don't really connect too much to it. It was actually the first Wes Anderson movie I saw, and so that immediately hooked me into the style. And, I was like, more. I want to see more. The whole film is shot like this. That's so cool. More. Then I realized there actually wasn't too much more to what I was getting. Oh well. But, yeah, so, it's good. It's good. It's decent, right? Like, again, none of these I would consider bad movies. And I don't hate Wes Anderson. It's just maybe his shtick is not really for me, perhaps. Oh well. But if you like Wes Anderson, that's totally fine. I get it, Then we have The Grand Budapest Hotel, which of course is an S tier. Duh. That's probably his best movie, and it's one of my favorite ones. It's almost as good as Life Aquatic for me, but we'll give them both S tier. That's one that I can just like rewatch as many times as I want. It's like the perfect blend of like the style over substance, but with enough substance to it, so that is good. I like that it's got a pretty straightforward story with lots of fun side characters to it. It doesn't feel too bogged down by all of that, though. It just flows very nicely. So it's just really good. There's that bit where it almost turns into Suspiria in the middle with Willem Dafoe chasing Jeff Goldblum, so that's pretty cool. That's, what can I say more? It's just, I really enjoy it a lot, and it's not one that I feel I have to slog through like some of these other ones down here. Then we have Isle of Dogs, which is a C tier movie for me, unfortunately. The stop motion animation is very great, probably a step up from Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is good, but ultimately I didn't care about the story to it, and I didn't like that it felt like the film was sort of not trusting me as an audience member to understand the story. And what I mean by that is, like the whole not subtitling the Japanese parts, but then just getting English translators to show up for every scene. Like, at first I thought it was going to be this kind of cool thing where, oh, we don't understand the humans because we're understanding the dogs, and it's just a simple fact of a language barrier. It was not meant to cause any kind of Orientalism or racism or divide. It was just an interesting plot point. And I thought that was cool, but then as the movie goes on, we just literally have a white savior character and a translator for everything. Like, it was like the movie was too scared to put in subtitles, so they just put in English speakers to translate for me. I don't know, it just felt lazy, or that Wes Anderson didn't trust me as an audience member to be able to go along with this concept. So to me it had an interesting idea and then just completely got rid of it. And then I didn't really care about much else of the story or the plot. So for me, it's got some nice animation, but I don't really come back to this one. No, it's kind of forgettable for me. So it's a C tier movie for me. I'm putting it just slightly above D tier to show that it still is above Bottle Rocket, but it's kind of more like a D and a half, right? Then we have The French Dispatch, which when I first watched it, I might have put down in B tier, but we're going A tier for that one after the rewatch. Because this to me was like, it's the best looking Wes Anderson film in terms of his production design. The look to it is great, and I like that it just really leans hard into being a stylistic film. It's not trying to dwell too much on the story, because it's like essentially a visualization of reading an issue of a newspaper with articles, all told through the narrative device that Bill Murray, as the head of this newspaper, has just passed away. So I thought that was a very cool narrative device, and it means that we get 3 short stories with different focuses and different visual styles, rather than one overly stretched out one. So each one is like a good length, and they're self-contained, and they're fun. They've got fun narrative devices with the different narrators to them. We've got Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, and the guy whose name I cannot remember, Jeffrey something, but I know him. The guy, he's as the new Lieutenant Gordon in the Batman, right? He's great. We like him. Yeah, so that narrative dice is fun. The look is really cool. Production design is great. And, it's a summary of the 3 things that France is most known for: art, cooking, and violent revolutions. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's an A-tier movie for me. And then last up we have Wes Anderson's newest film, Asteroid City, which after the first watch I might have put down in D tier, but after the second watch and seeing what it was going for, I'll give it an A tier. This one was a really good one for me on second viewing, because I think the first time I watched it for what I thought it would be, not what it was. And it's pretty cool. Wes Anderson, he kind of decided to do a semi-David Lynch sort of thing where, art reality is actual reality, or dream reality is the truth. With this whole, play within a play sort of thing going on, this idea that, all of what the fancy stuff we saw in the trailers is all the play that doesn't exist and never happened. And everybody is an actor playing an actor who is played by an actor. Okay, that's cool. And Jeff Goldblum is the alien. That's awesome, right? That's what we need. But it's also, this kind of dark story of unrequited love. Okay, that's cool. It's got some interesting themes, right? Yeah. So, no, it's a very interesting movie for me. It's funny enough, on the rewatch, all the trailer bits about the alien and kids hanging out, that was the least interesting part for me. It's still got some Wes Andersonisms to it that I don't really like, kids being quirky for the sake of quirky because they're quirky. Yeah, like it's like taking the whole gifted children concept from Royal Tenenbaums, but then not flipping it on its head of how they've become washed up now. It's just simply they are gifted and they are a genius because they can put signs on the moon or invent laser death rays. Yeah. But it's still very fun. There's lots of good moments and some of those emotional bits that really get you, like the balcony conversation with Margot Robbie about the deleted scene. That was a pretty good bit. Yeah, and a great score, too, of course. So, there you have it. That's the Wes Anderson tier list. Again, in terms of Wes Anderson films, the bottom stuff isn't actually that bad, and the good stuff here, well, it actually isn't that good. But this is my way to talk about Wes Anderson, finally, all of his films, and do a tier list video. which I've been kind of digging the vibe to these. It's a little more chill. The hardest part is the setup and make sure my computers record everything properly. We'll see how it goes in the editing process. But anyway, let me know your ranking of Wes Anderson, and tell me how wrong I am for putting Life Aquatic at the top, or that I'd put Royal Tenenbaums not at the top, or, you know, that all of these aren't S-tier movies. I know that's how some Wes Anderson fans would agree. But also, you know, if you want to try to explain to me why you love Wes Anderson, why he's your favorite director, I would appreciate that. Again, it's not like I'm trying to dislike some of the stuff. I want to get it, but sometimes these movies make me throw my hands up and go, you know what, maybe Wes Anderson just isn't for me. But sometimes he is, so we'll keep an eye on what he does next. Anyway, that's all that. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you next time.